Hi, this is Maya Effie, and I'm here to talk to you about another book. Um, this one is from the 50s, and the author was mentioned in a book that I was reading about aliens. And that book was not a science fiction book like the one we'll be looking at today. That one was written by an astrophysicist. And that book talks about things like the Fermi paradox and biosignatures and UAPs. Today's book is definitely a science fiction. So let's talk about it. All right. How do you feel about science fiction? There are some very intelligent people, although some of them are a little weird, who believe that science fiction writers imagine a future that actually comes to pass. And we have seen that. Those of us who read a lot of science fiction will know that this is true. Think about Ray Bradbury. Same with Jules Verne. Even Frankenstein. If you consider that the defibrillator actually animates dead tissue, then Frankenstein is also a science fiction that eventually came to pass. So today, the book I'm looking at with you is called The City of the Stars. It was written by Arthur C. Clarke in 1953. So this is really an oldie. So here is the setup of the story. It is millions of years in the future. The city of Diaspar is completely underground. Nobody ever goes up top. Nobody has been up there for millions of years. It is considered an absolute wasteland. Everybody is fearful about going up there. There's nothing there but sand and death. But Diaspar is a wonderful place to live. Human beings no longer die because this book, the Diaspar, when we enter the story, is millions of years into the future. And Diaspar has been running great for many, many years. So humans don't die. They might choose to leave the bodies that they're in if they want to, and then their whole consciousness is brought into a computer who holds it. And then they don't know when they'll come back, but eventually the computer will bring that person back in and they'll be alive again. You live for the first 20 years of your life in a fully formed human body. You're assigned to a couple of parents, and you have teachers, and you have friends and all of that. But even though you're in a fully grown body, you're still considered a young person. And then after 20 years, all of your old memories come back to you. So all of the lifetimes that you've had in the past, all of the accomplishments that you had, all of the things that you learned in the past, all come back to you. So everybody there has had many, many lives. They've all had lives as teachers, as parents. Entertainment is huge there. So people are into the arts. They do all kinds of wonderful things. And then there's some kind of a process where if your art is the most fabulous of the time, then it gets displayed so that everyone can enjoy it. Their games are incredible. Like, they're just absolutely so real. And in reading about the game that our hero in our story was playing when the book opens, it reminds me of Minecraft. Although I have to admit, I've never played Minecraft, but I hear it and about it, and I know that it's very, very realistic. So then along comes this guy, our hero of our story, named Alvin. And Alvin is an incredible anomaly. This is the first time Alvin has ever come to being. He is not an old entity. Alvin is brand new. It's his first lifetime. And so he is experiencing things differently. So, why is he different? That's the question that we have as we enter the book. What's going to happen? One of the things that really drives Alvin is that he wants out of the city. And even though he's taught forever that you don't want to get out of the city, there's nothing up there but death and sand and destruction, he wants out. And so that's the question. Does he get out? I'm not going to spoil the book for you just in case you decide you'd like to read it, but I do want to read a few excerpts for you from the book so that you can see a little bit of what it's like. So I'm going to move to page 25. Okay, it looks like I've decided to use a Band-Aid as a bookmark. We're going to paragraph 1, and it starts out. Okay, the last sentence. Although most of the great buildings were familiar, there were subtle differences that added to the interest of the scene. Alvin's walking somewhere, which most people don't do, but Alvin likes to walk. Alvin wished he could linger, but he never found he never found any way of retarding his progress through the tunnel. So he's always in motion. They get you from one place to another very quickly. So all too soon, they were set gently down in a large elliptical chamber completely surrounded by windows. Through these they could catch tantalizing glimpses of gardens ablaze with brilliant flowers. There were gardens still in Diaspar, but these had existed only in the mind of the artist who conceived them. Certainly there were no such flowers as these in the world today. Okay, now let's look at page 49. Looks like I found some paper clips, so I don't have to use strange things for bookmarks. So let's see, paragraph 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is some really old-fashioned thinking in this book, and this paragraph 4 is an example of that. For her own peace of mind, it was a pity that she had become infatuated with Alvin. When there were so many other suitable choices, Ellistra had never had any difficulty in finding partners, but by comparison with Alvin, all the other men she knew were non-entities, cast from the same featureless mold. She would not lose him without a struggle. His aloofness and indifference set a challenge which she could not resist. So I was kind of disappointed to see this, although I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. This is old-fashioned thinking that women are attracted to men who are not interested in them. And this just isn't true. I know that this is what people used to think, and so males and females would play games with each other, and the woman, I don't know, I don't really get most of it, but anyway, if you are, I'm sure there are women who are attracted to men who aren't interested in them, but those women don't have very nice lives. It's not any fun, I'm sure. So better to be interested in someone who's also interested in you. And so I'm glad that that's not being necessarily ingrained in women constantly like it was back in the 50s and 60s. So let's look at page 103 now. Can look at paragraph 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The human race had long ago overcome its childhood terror of the merely alien in appearance. That was a fear which could no longer survive after the first contact with friendly extraterrestrial alien races. So I thought this was really cool because, when this book was written in the 50s, if somebody said that they had had contact with an alien or even seen a ship, they were considered to be like nutty, and they would lose their jobs, they would lose their social standing in the community. In many cases, their families would leave them or at least think that they were nuts. And so it's really interesting to see that in this book that it was no longer considered odd. It had happened and people were way over it. And now in the 2020s, if you say that you've seen an alien or seen a ship, I mean, people might look at you weird, but a lot of people would go, yeah, because, it's all over the news and things like that. It's just not as big of a problem as it used to be. So I found that very interesting. Now let's look at page 106. This is a great one. So this guy has been expelled from another planet and spent some time on Earth a long, long time ago when people were still living above ground. And his expulsion he blamed on vindictive enemies. But the fact was that he suffered from an incurable malady which it seemed attacked only Homo sapiens among all the intelligent races of the universe. That disease was religious mania. I thought that was funny because we have religious mania even now. Well, those are all of the readings I'm going to do for you today. I have some questions for you. Do you read science fiction? Please tell me if you have a favorite author. If you read older science fiction, let me know and talk to me about how you get past the misogyny, because that's just how the United States was back then. And when I started reading, it was in the 60s. So I read that kind of stuff from 60s, 70s. It was well into the 80s before we started trying to get that out of our writing. But nevertheless, because I know how to get past it, I had fun with it. I enjoyed the story. If you're still here, would you mind hitting the like button? Because it would be really cool. So this is all I'm going to talk about in our book today. This is my Aunt Effie saying, I hope that you're reading something really good. I am. Bye.